Hello, everyone. Welcome to Patrick's. This little restaurant in the middle of Yerevan is called Patrick's. And we got a lovely seat in front of the Christmas market in Yerevan. Vahan and I, your two bishops, have spent most of the day today in Yerevan. I really wanted to spend a day kind of Christmas shopping. I didn't really have too much to buy, but looking at the lights, I think a lot of our friends would be amazed at how beautifully decorated the streets are, the lights. There's a whole Christmas market here, like you might see in Europe. And so we had fun walking around with.
This is new. It's been here like maybe for 2-3 years. Before that, it wasn't like this yet.
No, it wasn't. It's getting year by year. It's becoming more and more westernized, I guess. But the local people really they love it, and it creates a certain spirit.
Sure, it does.
And our producers told us that this would be a nice spot for us to do our, maybe we call this our Christmas video.
Indeed, why not? Well, it's the Christmas season, so
and actually for us who have been living in the West for at this point most of our lives, we're used to two Christmases. You know, in the United States for sure, 25th, 24, 25, and then January 6th. So this is our Christmas episode. We thought it'd be nice to talk about Christmas and what it really means.
One of the key questions that always comes to my mind, and many people ask me, is, in English we call it Christmas. In Armenian we say Dishunts. Yet in the church we say Hovhannisyan.
Right.
So there are all these titles kind of, that circulate in our lingo. And I'd like to kind of focus on why the Armenian church uses Hovhannisyan. That's the feast.
We really don't have a word for Christmas. Christmas is an old English word as far as I know.
Yeah.
Obviously Christ.
Yeah,
Mass, I suppose, is Mass. I honestly don't know the origin, but there's no equivalent in Armenian.
No.
Whereas Hovhannisyan,
Theophany, it's a Greek word, really. Theos and Epiphany, the revelation of God. And it's interesting, as you know from our liturgy, really the feast in our church tradition is not simply his birth. We don't celebrate the birth of a hero or the birth of a very famous person, who he is, obviously. But for the church, for the Armenian church, and for the church universal, really, the birth of Jesus is important because it's the event of God becoming man. It's the incarnation of God. It's how God, out of his love for us, decide to limit himself, he who is eternal and limitless and timeless, into the boundaries of a human body and be born as Jesus, the son of Joseph and Mary. And that's what makes this event important for us, that God decided to visit us, come and live with us, and thus the name Emmanuel, which in Hebrew, Emmanuel, means God is with us. So,
and I would say, in fact, I've been saying to the seminarians here at Sevan, that's the gospel. Really.
Indeed.
God is with us. If God is with us,
who is against us?
Who is against us? Right. But what else could we? What else do we expect?
Exactly.
What more riches? What more blessing could we want than having the eternal God really in our midst? Not just in us as individuals, which He is, but in a special way within the church, within
the
ecclesia, the body of Christ, the church.
True.
You mentioned about the birth. The Bible doesn't tell us when Jesus was born.
The date is not mentioned in any of the Gospels or the letters of the apostles.
And scholars, from time to time, over the centuries, but in modern times, biblical scholars have tried to sort of figure out.
Yes.
Well, there were sheep grazing in the fields, according to the Gospel of Luke. Well, this means it must have been in the springtime. But those are all fruitless. They lead nowhere. The reason we don't know when Jesus was born is because nobody cared when Jesus was born until much later, centuries after his birth. And that was not for reasons of sort of historical interest. It had to do more with theological reasons, which is what you were talking about.
Because I think it's not the birth of baby Jesus that is what we're celebrating. Of course, that is the event. But it's the fact that, as I said, God has revealed himself and God has come to this earth to live with us. And that's why, again, as we know as clergy from our traditions, when we celebrate the birth of Jesus on the 6th of January, we also celebrate the baptism of Jesus, which is 30 years after that event. But we combine them because the two events in the Bible are God revealing events, God, the Holy Trinity. In the birth of Jesus, the angels appeared, the heavens opened. Of course, the voice of God the Father said, "This is my son." And the same thing happened in the baptism. Again, when Jesus came out of the water, the river Jordan, again, the heavens opened, the angels came down, the voice of the Father said, "This is my son." So both events, while 30 years apart from each other, they're both theophany, they're both asvad zahaynutun. And that's why I think our church is making a very bold statement that we're not just saying happy birthday, baby Jesus, which is important, but we want beyond that to say, thank you, God, for deciding to come down to this fallen world, to limit yourself, to express your love, and to lead us from the darkness of this world into the light of the knowledge of the truth.
I think a lot of our Armenian friends would know that the Armenian Church is the only church that brings these two together to celebrate on one day. That is to say, the Nativity or the birth of Christ as one event with the baptism of Christ, which we celebrate on one day, January 6th. What I think a lot of people will not know is that was the universal practice of the entire Church of Jesus Christ in the earliest centuries, except for the Church of Rome. That doesn't mean the Catholic Church. That means in the 3rd, 4th century, the Church of the city of Rome and its surroundings. They celebrated the Nativity on December 25th. But, if that was the practice of the city of Rome only, even in Milan, which was another ancient Christian center, which is a short train ride from Rome,
Italy,
they were celebrating Christmas on January 6th because that was the date that it was celebrated in North Africa, throughout the Mediterranean world, especially in Jerusalem, and for reasons, again, I think having to do with the strengthening of the Roman Empire, perhaps, the importance of the Church of Rome and its influence. One by one, all of the churches in Christendom switched their date of commemoration of the birth and of the Theophany to December 25th, except the Armenian Church. We're the only ones that remained really focused on the ancient tradition of Jerusalem and maintained that date on January 6th. Creates some problems for us in the diaspora. Here in Armenia, it's not a problem at all. But in the diaspora, of course, we have effectively 2 dates of Christmas. A lot of people don't get off of school and off of work on January 6th. Here, that's not a problem. But maybe maybe this is an opportunity for us to really think about a season of Christmas.
which is I think what gave birth to the 12 days of Christmas,
Right.
Because they started on 25th, the Church in the West, the
And
Catholics.
counting those
They
days.
count, and on the 6th, I think they do the visit of the Magi.
The visit of the Magi.
So that
exactly.
creates the 12 days of Christmas.
Right. But the Christmas, you said very nicely, you mentioned about the light of the Christmas season. And we're sitting in front of these beautiful lights. We've been looking at lights all day and looking for Christmas trees and enjoying that. I think maybe we need to, when we see these beautiful Christmas lights, when we put them up in our homes, when we see them here in Yerevan, in Etchmiadzin even, maybe they can serve as an invitation for us to sort of look a bit deeper beyond the beautiful lights and the happiness and the cheer that causes in us, and try to recall the light of what it means to be loved by the Creator of the world, loved to such an extent that God would send His own person, His own self, into this world, born of a woman, the way we were all born from a woman. And God Himself submits Himself to that. It's a sign of humility, of course, of love, of a desire to be with His people to the fullest extent. That's the God that we worship. That's the God that loves us. That's the God that we seek to know and to love.
And I think no matter how difficult or dark a certain moment in our life may be at a certain stage in our life, we need to remind ourselves of the brightness of the message of Theophany, that, as you said, the Creator of the universe is with us. So, then why fear? Why worry? Why, if God, the Creator of the universe, is with me and loves me, came all the way to here to visit me, and wants me to be with God, then, I'm in good hands. No matter what the cause of that darkness is, I should be patient, run the good race, fight the good fight, and ultimately I will win.
And that's a good story. Maybe the way we close today's session is Emmanuel, right?
Indeed.
Emmanuel. God is with us. through thick and thin, yesterday, today, and forever. And that's the story of Christmas. That's what we want to celebrate. And I hope we both, your two bishops, very much hope that all of our friends and all of those that have a moment to watch this will really be able to revive in their hearts and minds that wonderful message. God is with us. That's why we're here. That's why we serve the church that we serve. That's the message that we really want to share with people all over. Well, we can wish people a blessed and Merry Christmas. December 25th, January 6th, 7th, 13th. Pick your day. It's a beautiful season, and we wish you every good blessing of our God who is revealed among us. Merry Christmas.